Grandmama used to pray, oh Lord, please save them from the evil snares and all the dangers that entangle. Yea, though they walking through the valley of the shadows, just prepare and make them fit for every battle, because I know they bound to come, and I know they bound to fall, but in your bounty, Lord, preserve their beautiful. Right, we still survive and offer grandma's prayers, surrounded by the jungle and the lion's den. Tread light, cause these traps is inconspicuous. They hide right in plain sight, thinking we don't see them when they linger. Look right beneath the surface, then leave a trail of corpses. Crisis, prices, your life a disposable commodity. Like living in this fantasy, conditioned to believe that the system even cares whether selling CDs or walking or driving or reading. Look, they don't even need a reason. It's just you breathing and being black. When it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all, at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming bloody murder. Said it got me screaming. This gritty city got me on some. Look, get your hand up on my pocket. Distraction, so lazy they use the same tactics. Like condom with some trinkets, just don't let them get to thinking. That light bulb gets a blinking. You know niggas and ideas. Oh dear, my dear, you may not know me, but I know you very well. Foresight, they say hindsight is 20/20. Well, tell me something, we gotta see that history is on repeat. And maybe it takes the beat and the melody to speak a little louder than the message in the clouds or the essence in the air. I swear, my God is just so clear that a system driven by fear can never give us nothing but more of the same things. Oh, when it's such a pretty fall, it don't seem like we falling at all. It's just a GMO dream, where things are never really what they seem. Please cue the violins, tell them just to play me something pretty, cause this gritty city got me screaming. It's murder. Got me screaming, got me. This gritty city got me on some.
M1 in the building. Freedom ain't free. Pay the cost. Look. You gotta be like him or be like her. The revolution gonna reoccur. Be Sekou, be Jalil. Who really wanna get free for real? Be a soldier, be a rebel. Who wanna take it to another level? Be a G, be a LA. If you want some liberation, better start today. Don't be like Mike, we gotta be like Fred Hampton. That's right, that's what I said. We gotta be the Honda, be your Sada. Baby in the right with black power, mama. Don't be no snitch and don't be no pig. The comrades come and get you, spit your wig. Just be yourself, that's enough. What you really wanna be when you grow up? Everybody wanna be a star today. So much going on in the galaxy. Jimmy said he wanna be a rapper, but have you ever thought of being an adapter? 10 years from now, will you be able to change? Will you love the game and will you think the same? Will you think I ain't fucking with no capitalism? You don't pay your taxes and you throw you in prison? What you really know about sacrifice? Giving your life, paying the price. The price of freedom is death sometimes. Better that than dumb, deaf and blind. Make a weak heart lose breath and mind. UEP Newton came just in time. So I'ma be like him, I'm getting it in until they open the pen, because we destined to win. Hasta victorious siempre. I am Fidel, I am Che, I am Toussaint, I'm Cinque. Us, revolutionary sensei. See, I work for the people, the streets is my office. So Uncle Sam, keep your damn hands up off us. It's about to be a riot from the worker to the bosses. Obama gon' just double cross us. Fuck him, you gotta be like him, or be like her. The revolution gonna reoccur. Be Sekou, be Jalil. Who really wanna get free for real? Be a soldier, be a rebel. Who wanna take it to another level? Be a G, be a LA. If you want some liberation, better start today.
Be free, like a breeze in the ocean. Be free to be who and where you wanna be. Yeah, I wanna be free like Frida. Yes, I said Frida. See so much freedom every time I see her. She painted pictures, she saw herself. She painted the revolution that she saw herself. And that's real, change that's real. When you think of revolution, how does it feel? Would you risk your life or kill? Or sit in the cell like Sekou and Jalil? Brought it back for the cause. I did it all for the cause. Stay in tune with the sun and the moon. Got so much love for Russell Maroon. That's Swallows, he's the boss. 39 years behind them walls. 22 years without no calls. Banging on the system till they free them all. Tu Lolita Lebron, viva la revolución. Siempre mi corazón. It's cause of you I fight on. You got to be like you, don't be like them. Don't be no phony, don't be my friend. Just be right there when I need you. Oscar, we fight till they free you.
You gotta be like him, or be like her. The revolution gonna reoccur. Be Sekou, be Jalil. Who really wanna get free for real? Be a soldier, be a rebel. Who wanna take it to another level? Be a G, be a late. If you want some liberation, better start today.
But if you're looking for a hero, don't look any further. Kill the revolutionary, but you still can't murder the revolution. It's absolution, because the revolution has come for our daughters and sons. Free Sekou from in jail, or we gon' give them hell.
Gotta be like him, or be like her. The revolution gonna reoccur. Be Sekou, be Jalil. Who really wanna get free for real? Be a soldier, be a rebel. Who wanna take it to another level? Be a G, be a late. If you want some liberation, better start today.
Peace. What's going on, good people? This is RSTV, Black Power Media. How y'all feeling today?
Hey, Kalanji, good.
Hey.
Thank you for that. I hadn't seen that. I hadn't seen the B Sekou video in a while, so it's nice to see it.
Right on, right on. We gotta get the party jumping, as they say. You know what I mean? We all looking to be Sekou. I was just telling you before we started, it's like 189 degrees in the shade, and I had to throw the hoodie on. I'm only gonna do this for Sekou. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You got yours on too, Val?
I do. I need to get a pillow because I can't see my sweatshirt.
Oh, okay. Well, and see, I'm rocking. I wore brown this morning. I woke up trying to work to help myself feel my heart to feel a little less sorrow. I put on. Sister Rosemary said you should wear something pretty today. I said I did. I wore brown because that's Sekou's favorite color, and then I have red on because that's my favorite color. So it's the two of us together
all the time.
Yes, yes.
That's right. Like yin and yang.
Yeah.
I got to show y'all something that I think that Sekou would like, especially in this season. You know him better than me, Dequi, but I think that him and the rest of New York are probably like this right here.
Oh, no doubt.
That's right.
No doubt.
That's right, Kalanji. Represent.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Elated right now.
hey,
Absolutely.
I ain't want no trouble. I knew where I was at tonight. You know what I mean?
That's right. He was a
Say,
Knicks fan when they was on their losing streak. He'd argue with Chokwe Lumumba. He argued with anybody that wasn't a Knicks fan. I don't care. That's my team.
listen, Sekou had the Patrick Ewing shirt, so I already know. You know what I mean? That I know what time it was. It ain't no, you got to be a Knicks fan if you rocking the Patrick Ewing joint. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? No doubt, no doubt. Well, listen, man. Can y'all hear me pretty good? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So what I want to do, I want to get this thing started, but I want to, instead of me doing a regular introduction type situation, I want to kind of ask you all who you were and who is Sekou to you. You know what I'm saying? So you can introduce yourself and all that, and we can roll from there. We got Dhoruba. Dhoruba, you need to turn your camera on, brother. You in the back like Men in Black. You know what I mean? So we're gonna get him up there in a second and whatnot. Yeah, so we can start with you, Dequi. We wanna let the people know who you are and why we're here today and what Sekou meant to you.
Well, who am I? Organizer working with for several decades now, working with and on behalf of our U.S. held political prisoners and prisoners of war, specifically those Black Panther Party soldiers and Black Liberation Army soldiers who've been criminalized and demonized and isolated in prison for decades. And so I knew of Sekou and I knew him on paper, meaning like communicating via writing, long before I met him in person, because he came to New York in 2009 when he maxed out his federal time for the conviction for the liberation of Asada and expropriation of a armored truck. So when he came in 2009 to New York, Shawanka prison, which is where our brother Sekou Shakur was with him inside, I did what I always do and went to visit him like I visit all of the political prisoners. And that was the beginning of a friendship based on politics and the Black freedom struggle that grew into something more intimate and personal, and then clearly marriage, because I always kept it above level because I was always visiting the brothers and I never wanted people to misconstrue anything. But I grew to love Sekou, and after a while I would go, and then I didn't want to go with other people. I wanted my visits with him by himself. So I went from being a woman who said she was never getting married again to my husband telling me, "Well, I'm not gonna ask you every time you come, but I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna keep asking you." And then one of those times is when I said yes. And so Sekou is the love of my life. So I don't know. I know who I am, and I'm learning to live a new life without the person that I thought I was going to grow older with.
Right on, right on. Now I like how you said that Dequi was like, I was visiting with other people, then all of a sudden she was tiptoeing up to go check them out by herself. I like how you did that, Dequi. That was like, you like folks like, yo, you want to go see Sekou? Nah, I ain't gonna go today. And then you just show up the next day or later on. That's the oldest trick in the book, Dequi. But we glad you we glad you was creeping. We gonna take it to our brother. We're gonna take it to our brother Sekou Shakur. Tell the people who you are and why we got you on the screen today, man. And your name Sekou. Yeah,
my
we gotta
name
hear
is
this.
Sekou Shakur, and I got my name from the two warriors, Sekou Odinga and Asada Shakur. And I go back to, I was born and raised on 99th Street in Corona, Queens. They had the free breakfast program on the corner. So I was in and out of there all the time. And the headquarters was like 3 blocks down on Northern Boulevard. So I was there too. And so I got a chance to meet them, everybody coming through. And then finally getting, catching my case too. then you read, you study, and you get the people on a more political level. And then again, like the sister said, we meet in Sekou again in 2009 in Shawanga. And it's funny when he tells that story about meeting him. I was there for that, and it's the one of the only times I've seen that cat nervous and not sure of himself. And I'm telling you, I'm like, what the hell? Yo, what should I do, man? You think I should say something? I said, you better say something. And I said, how did you, and he'll tell me what's going on in the business. And he got the courage up to step to his business. But that was the only time I was seeing him off his square. So we did all them years in Shawanga. Then we both was able to make it home, by grace of Allah. And we spent many times out there together, up until his passing. We was together, I mean. He was more than just a mentor and a friend to me, he became like a father figure to me. And I shared that with the crew that, all the time I did, I wasn't, did a lot of things shake me, but after his passing, man, it did something to me. Just being on here again, remembering that. And I'm glad Dhoruba said, because I remember when Dhoruba gave his little talk when we had the dinner at the restaurant in Brooklyn. Dhoruba started off, y'all know I ain't no punk, because I'm crying, don't think I'm no punk. and I laughed about that. I'm glad he said that, you know what I mean? Because I find myself tearing up, getting emotional about my man, you know what I mean? And that's the only cat that ever affected me like that.
That's real, man. I'm glad that you shared that with us, because I've been knowing Dhoruba for a few decades, and that's the first time I ever saw him cry. That's right. Yeah. And we was on air. I was like, damn, this dude getting soft on me. But we all know why. No doubt. My sister Val, my sister in Christ. I'm just joking. Go ahead, Val. What we got?
Peace, y'all. Peace. I want to say thank you for Kalanji for giving us space for this, for honoring Sekou Odinga, and peace to Sister Dequi, my sister. I love you.
I love you back.
Peace to Brother Dhoruba, calling from Ghana, and peace to Brother Sekou Shakur. And thanks for being here. So I actually met Sekou in 2009 in Shawanga. I was actually at a rally in Harlem that this organization had organized to honor our heroes, and Sekou Odinga, along with Alambe Brat, were the heroes being honored. And at that time, they were trying to begin a clemency campaign for Sekou because he had just got to New York State. So I joined the committee that they had. It was called the Sekou Odinga Comrade Committee. And then I began to write Sekou, and I began to visit him. And my first visit was at Shawanga in 2009. And eventually I left the organization, but I had met Sister Dequi because we would collaborate. I would share the funds that we raised for Sekou. And eventually I joined Sekou's Odinga Defense Committee with Dequi and Anochi and Mogadishu and Sister Yad and Deb and a few others. And then once he came home, of course, he organized NEPPC, but Sekou, just like to Brother Sekou Shakur, he was a mentor, he was a teacher, but he was also a father figure to me. That's why I call him Abu, in endearment. And, aside from my political teacher, he was a teacher for me in terms of being a Muslim woman. And he was an elder Muslim brother. He was one of the first ones who I had, and this is this is not a good thing to say, but he's one of the first Muslim brothers who was very devout and very honorable in my life. So his friendship and his love meant a lot to me. And so I miss Sekou. Our birthday parties, our dinners, our movie nights, our sleepovers. Just his leadership and his mentorship. And so his loss just left a fire in my belly and my heart. So I'll leave it there. Thank you.
You on mute, Kalanji.
You know what I'm saying? I was saying some good stuff. Y'all missed it. Definitely appreciate, you sharing, Val. Very powerful. And for the folks that's checking us out, what we want you to do, because of the fact that we are happy that you all are joining us tonight. And thank you, Dequi and Val, for trusting Black Power Media to even host, you know, this celebration. Because we ain't gonna do too much crying. We're gonna celebrate like it's 1999. For folks who are in the chat, we want you to put in the chat, be Sekou, and we want to know where you at, where you coming from. Because the fact I already see people saying they in New Zealand and different places like that. So put be Sekou in the chat and where you at. And we gonna last but not least, it's the brother from Africa. What's going on, Dhoruba? What's happening with you, brother? He muted as well. You gotta tap that button, brother. Okay, I think Dhoruba having some problems unmuting.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, while Dhoruba's finding his unmute button, we want to definitely say, okay, he's pointing at me. Let me see if I can unmute you. Yeah, no, I can't unmute you. You have to unmute yourself, brother. I don't have that power. So somewhere on your computer is where.
Maybe if he logs out and logs back in, because you got to give your microphone access.
That might be the case. So yeah, so your piece is muted. Either you can try to unmute it for a minute, or like Dequi said, log back on and log in and log back on. But we could do a round table while we are waiting for Dhoruba.
There you is.
There you go. Look at that. I was going to say Dhoruba's never quiet. I'm like, God must have muted you. What's going on, brother?
First of all, man, thanks a lot, Kalonji, for giving me the opportunity to remember, our beloved Sekou. And I want to shout out. I want to salute Valerie. You know, Val has been, a go-to person. When I'm living from hand to mouth, I can't get gasoline to get into town. Girlfriend be looking out for me. And so I just wanted to salute her. It's an opportunity to, especially on my brother's comrade's birthday. I want to salute her. And Dequi, same thing. Dequi has always shown love, support. So I just want to say it's good to see you all. And I'm going to say salute. And to the brother, Shakur, Sekou, listen, the way you describe your relationship with Sekou, I could understand how profoundly affected. And the fact that your soul and your spirit was open to it and embraced it is what's taking place. Because now you have obligation to pass that on. And so I salute to you too, man. So, but getting to my comrade Sekou, man, Sekou, and he was in the Jamaica chapter with there was a whole couple of characters in that branch. And Sekou, Sekou, Dequi, that Sekou prides himself in his origins as a stick-up kid. You know that, right? And I'm just editing my book, right? And my book is supposed to drop the end of the year, so I'm just editing my book. And my life coach, crosses out my former employment, and just put back to the street and leave it vague like that, right? And I said, man, why you do that? Because I want young folks to understand in history that the characters and figures like Sekou, they're exceptional to many because of where he did and how he did it, how he lived. But Sekou is just as there's Sekou's walking around right now in the streets in Harlem, in the streets in LA. And Sekou Odinga is there now, the same spirit, the same energy. It's yet to be analyzed and harnessed and mobilized because there's no movement. you know. So that's what I want to say about Sekou. You know, Sekou didn't have to come back to the States. You know, he was in Africa. You know, such a whale stayed in Africa. Uh, O'Neill stayed in Africa. Uh, you know, and Sekou came back. You know, and just like he left, you know, he left shimmying down a drain pipe on the side of a 5-story apartment building while the apartment building was surrounded by pigs at about 5 o'clock in the morning. And the next time we heard from him, he was in Algeria. So, you know, that's the day they rolled on us and busted the Panther 21. And, you know, that Queens chapter, Larry Mack, Sekou, Abdul Majid, Abdul Majid. There's another. His brothers, man, they were notorious in Brooklyn.
That's right.
The LaBoy brothers.
That's right.
Hey, the Popo fed the LaBoy brothers. You know, and their mama was a sweetheart. She was a beautiful woman, you know. And so, you know, when I think about Sekou and like this, you know, I got podcasts coming up, the Soldier's Story, you know, and the first one I'm going to do is Twyman, but I'm going to do Sekou because, you know, this is my birth month too. It's me and Sekou always go at it because we 2 weeks apart in birthdays, you know. So, you know, we always thought that, you know, he could handle me on the handball, paddleball court. You know, he had those delusions and stuff, but you know, he was real he was a real down to earth black man. From the very beginning, you know, when before they broke up the Panther Party, before the Panther Party started in New York, it was in Brooklyn, and we used to have PE classes in Brooklyn College, and Sekou used to come through, you know. Now, you know, Sekou used to run with Herman Ferguson back in Queens, you know, because him and Lumumba and Larry Mack, they all grew up together, you see. And that, I remember when I went out there when I was 15 years old, that's how I got my lung punctured. You know, I went out there because my grandfather lived out there in South Jamaica. And I went out there, I got all stabbed up and I had to get two put in my chest. So I always had a go at Sekou whenever I seen him, you know. That's the same thing with them Negroes from Brooklyn, you know. Do or die, beds die. So you know how that New York rivalry goes. So, but Sekou, you know, one trait that I always said about him, you know, and that's why we all call him General. I don't call him the General. I don't give him that, you know, because he came back and he came to the front, and he was more in the realm of a field marshal. The reason why I say that because he straddled certain groups and certain sets that would have not been otherwise incorporated into certain activities, you see, and that model is you're going to see this, you know. I'm gonna show it to you guys one day. You're going to see this model because, you know, Sekou, you know, Mao Zedong said that it's the subjective factor is the dynamic factor in war. And Sekou's subjective factor is calmness under pressure, the way he thought, the way he acted, his steadiness, you know, and leadership. You know, these are traits and qualities that we could meld into a resistance AI, so to speak. You see, because like I said, there's Sekou's walking around in the streets right now. They just don't know it. You see. And we don't know them. And there's a way to find them. And there's a way to motivate and reach them. And so that's one of the things I'm working on here. And so that's why I wanted to shout out to Val and Dequi, for trying to throw me some support in times of distress, because we don't have any benefactors, with deep pockets funding any aspect of a movement, you know. And so everybody is weak, By weak, I don't mean weak in spirit. I don't mean weak in determination or weak in character. I mean, we're weak in terms of we're not able to understand that our very activity is a revolutionary labor. If we have a job in a 9 to 5, how we fit that into the infrastructure of resistance is what counts. Everybody has a role they can play. You see, and so when we say Sekou live like him, we know that maybe a uncle, in his mid-50s, who always wanted to do something, he has a role to play. Any type of resistance movement has an infrastructure and it has an architecture of resistance. Each part serves each other. So that's what the lessons that we should learn from COINTELPRO, the lessons we should learn from Nuclear, the lessons we should learn from price acts operations that were initiated against us while he was in prison. That's the FBI Prison Activist Program. They train the correction officers down in down in West Virginia somewhere. They train them. They train wardens and security personnel on how to deal with political prisoners, political activists. How to monitor their visits and track their family, and set up this type of array of surveillance. You see, and that has been perfected now with algorithms and everything. So I just want to say that when we say Sekou live like him, we mean that everybody has that character, that spirit of resistance, the idea that together we can do something. We can make it cheaper to keep them, so to speak. It'll be cheaper for white folks to leave us the fuck alone and mess with us.
No doubt.
And we have to organize ourselves like that. Excuse my European.
Your English. Yeah.
Thank you, Dhoruba. Kalonji, can I just say for people who are here and they may not know who Dhoruba is, he was he was in the Black Panther Party and a soldier in the Black Liberation Army. He is a former political prisoner of war. He did 19 years in New York State. So I think that it's important for people to know that. And he, of course, he mentioned the 21. So he goes way back with Sekou, and he goes way back into the revolutionary struggles of the 60s and 70s. So I think that's important for people who may not know, who Dhoruba is.
No doubt, Dequi, and I appreciate that. I was going to say that, Dhoruba has a show on here on Friday. It's called Beggars on Horseback. So whenever you come on Black Power Media, he think it's Cheers. He think it's somewhere everybody know his name, so he don't even do no introduction. So.
Because they always be saying some people don't need no introduction, but they do, because everybody don't know, right? No. But I love what Dhoruba said. Like, Sekou always said, I was a stick-up kid. And he said once he learned that the banks told their employees to give up the money, he said that was the job for me. Because when you went in there, they said, don't try to save the bank money, give them the money. He said, it's that easy.
Hey, listen, Dequi, you would make us forget that we talking to everybody, not just us. But something happened.
Well, he's gone now, so they can't do nothing, just like talking about Asada. People didn't want him to talk about Asada. He said, I did time for that, and I'm proud of that.
That's
so it's like, Henry Shaw Brown said, when he's gone, tell it all.
No doubt.
That's another Black Panther Black Liberation Army comrade.
But see, we all know the Sha was a rap tutor. Now, so you can't, you couldn't follow Sha's advice. Now. How you gonna follow the advice of somebody that came out of the tombs, Brooklyn House of Detention, down the sheet rope, all the way down about 5-10 stories, and escaped from the House of Detention in Brooklyn? How you gonna take him serious?
Listen, I'm gonna go to the same brother on the panel today. Sekou. You trying to say something, brother? Sekou, like I ain't gonna get indicted messing with y'all. Sekou, can you hear us?
Is he frozen?
Sekou, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. No, we was waiting for you to speak, brother. Look like you got distracted.
I think it's important that we know, because like you said, a lot of people don't know Dhoruba's background and history, and he was a show enough G, you know what I mean, especially in the New York State. So people need to know that, especially the young cats, even the older heads, they don't really know the history. So, you know, like she said, you know, what's done is done. Can't nobody be held. They need to know our history. They need to know how daring these brothers were, how committed they were, how they stood 10 toes down. You know what I mean? How they were the example for us, for cats like me coming up. Because when I heard about them,
I didn't mean to cut you off. I just saw it. Jose Saldana just logged on. There you go. Yo.
Yeah, I sent it to everybody.
Yeah, it's old school. We used to pound the big yards upstate New York together.
There you go. You know, so cats need to know this here. We got to revisit this consistently, so people will know and have an example. You know what I mean? How Malcolm was an example of our black manhood. How Dhoruba was. How Sekou was. You know what I mean? And all the brothers, like you talk about, you know, Majid. You know what I mean? Everybody. People need to know about these brothers' names and what the sacrifice they put in, and the work they put in for us. And we gave an example of what a black man, how you should conduct yourself in this racist ass country.
Yeah.
Sekou, we know that Sekou Odinga did what, 33 years altogether?
At a half. He said, don't leave out that half.
Hey, I was just about to say that, because when I said 33 years, I'm thinking about when we were on the panel down in Houston. He will correct you. And that half definitely count. You was locked up with him. What was Sekou Odinga like behind the wall? Because of course we have you know, Dhoruba has this.
He's the same kind of cat, man. He was steady. You know what I mean? He was about his business, man. But he was playful when he needed to be playful. He was firm when he needed to be firm. But he was easy and well, and you know, even killed with it. You know what I mean? Whatever called for, that's how he responded to it. You know what I mean? But he was always say, "Cool." You knew exactly what time it was. You know what I mean? You don't come around here with no nonsense. You know, the staff didn't come around him at all with no shucking and jive and stuff. You know what I mean? But he had his eye on the prize too. You know, he knew he had to get up out of here. He worked hard on his case. You know what I mean? I was there when he was working on it. You know what I mean? When he got the decision, when he got the course, we realized that they had given too much time. He gonna get that thing back, and they messed up. That's really what happened. They messed up. They gave him that loophole, and he went right through it.
Valerie, I want to ask you, because I know that first off, Val's also the wife of another former political prisoner, Jalil Muntaqim. So definitely shout out to Jalil, who served 51 years himself. What you know, coming up, we're around the same age, same era, you know. During this particular time, you know, of course, back in the day, we never thought that certain people would get out, period. You know what I'm saying? And I think you could agree with that, Dequi, as well. We didn't imagine certain political prisoners ever seeing the light of day, because for a while, it was far and few in between. But I want to know what really motivated you to get behind Sekou?
Well, as I mentioned, I mean, I grew up with history and culture from my mother, so that was I'm grateful for that. I grew up learning a lot of history, and my mother was also a supporter of political prisoners. In fact, I have a picture of myself. I have to be about maybe 10 years old, my mother had a T-shirt, the New York City Jaleo, Alabama, Washington, and and Herman Bell, which is kind of like I always say it was a foreshadow, but I always had the my mother gave me the motivation and the education that I needed to understand that we wasn't free and this was something to fight for. So again, when I met Sekou, his spirit was so humble. He was he had compassion. He was just real genuine, and he was very clear about the struggles of our people and particularly his comrades. And so that's why when he came home, and started anything to see, he continued to inspire me, and he continued to encourage me and mentor me, and encourage me to read books and to study, and which is how I continue to do this work and why I continue to do it. So I would say that for me, there was no other choice really. I've dedicated my life to this work. This work is not just me giving, I'm also receiving. I mean, every political prisoner that I met, and I just want to say thank you to Dhoruba for giving me my flowers, and I'll give you yours. And Dhoruba don't have to introduce himself because his name ring bells, like on the East Coast and the West Coast, and on the continent. So thank you, Dhoruba. But just that, all the political prisoners, all the brothers and sisters inside, they've given to me. And Sekou gave me mentorship. He gave me a father figure. He gave me family. He's a grandfather to my children. And so for me, it was a no-brainer, Kalanja. I hope I answered your question.
It's all good. No, I mean you gave us what you felt. I want to before I go to Dequi, I want to hop back to Dhoruba because I think that you were out of all of us on this panel. I imagine that you're the one that knew him the longest, and going back to the party days, not only as far as the Black Panther Party, Panther 21 being a co-D, BLA, etc. What are some of your fondest memories, and when would you say you first made contact with him?
Lumumba and Sekou grew up together. In South Jamaica. Lumumba was in the Holland branch, right? And
when you say Lumumba, remember there are folks that don't know who you're talking about. Again, you're not talking to us. You're talking to
Lumumba Shakur, the lead plaintiff, the lead defendant in the Panther 21 case. It's Lumumba Shakur. It's Lumumba Shakur at all, and he's the lead defendant. He was married to Shakur.
You're fading out with the mic, Dhoruba. Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, I was going to tell you, this is the rainy season. We get bad interference.
Okay, it's all good. Do your thing.
It's going on 3 o'clock in the morning here. And, I think the storm is moving. Because I'm getting a lot of static. Are y'all getting static too?
Well, yeah. But we can hear you though. Just keep on rocking. You good? We'll decipher.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go in a minute. Yeah, so people don't know that in Brooklyn, and that's another branch that Sekou was really familiar with, because that's where Abdul Majid was from, and Oscar, but Sekou didn't talk much, about, he would give whatever, opinion he might have about something, success or whatever, And one of the good things about him, of course, And the brother Sekou here would testify. He was a good listener. He could listen. You see? And he would say, well, oh, I don't know about that, you know. And he'd have a smirk on his face, right? And it's like telling you, yeah, you know, I know what you're saying, but like, yeah, you know, I think I'm gonna roll on it a different way. You see, and he would convey that, and I would always jump on him and say, man, I know you don't believe that, but you're gonna find out. You'll see, you know. So you know, he always thought of me as I don't know. Maybe he might have thought that, you know, I was a bit overbearing sometimes. I think Sekou, man, the beauty about him, you know, if there was a way to do a chronicle of the VLA and how COINTELPRO played folks in his leadership and smooth to the right, and the courage of Sekou, the cunning of Sekou, the strategic vision that he had to build fashion and instinct out of it. That was really something that has to be illustrated to a younger generation. Demonstrated. It's a very key part of organizing resistance, organizing power. We have to talk about power in the 21st century. We have to talk about sovereign thinking in the 21st century. We got a complicated class and a bootlicking class, you know, that's reason that, you know, to themselves American nationalists because they were slaves and built to settle the state of America. So now they pro-American nationalists. You see what I'm saying? So they only were supposed to get reparations. You see what I'm saying? And then they got a monetary figure on it. You know, instead of 20 acres and a mule, I guess Mercedes-Benz 500 and a townhouse. I don't know, but you know, we have to build a resistance movement. Just what's going on in America right now. That Project 2025, Make America White Again. These crackers in the United States are determined to white supremacist Christian nationalism, you know, as the ascendant ideology and culture in the settler state. And we don't have no role to play in that unless we want to be subservient to that, or unless we want to go back to the plantation on a different level. That's what AI is about. Put your ass in the matrix. Up in the phone booth and check out me. So, you know, we have to understand what's taking place at this historical moment. This is a very important moment in history that we're living in right now. A lot of us don't understand how crucial it is. The whole world order that these crackers built up after World War II is collapsing, and they're going crazy. And you got Rubio lecturing the Europeans that they should go back and embrace their Western culture and recount Africa. And as we speak, that effort is going on to undermine Pan-African unity and xenophobia in South Africa, to undermine African bargaining. There's the division of sovereignties into states and regions. So over here, struggling with this has gotten crazy. You know, everybody and their uncles over here, from Ukrainians to Mossad. You see what I'm saying? and you got cop cities spreading all over the U.S., training grounds for this, all akin or next to an urban concentration of African people. You got these gerrymandering districts so they could state institutions. You got them taking over the educational system and sacking DEI and critical race theory and history and rewriting it. This is what they do. This is not only fascism, this is the re-institution of the ethno-white supremacist settler state. That's what this is. And so we have to understand that we are in the belly of this beast. So we have to take advantage of all defensive and offensive mechanisms at our disposal. That includes electoral politics, that includes extra-legal organization, that includes everything. You see, and we have to organize people where they are at and let everyone understand we all the same role to play. And if we could do that, if we understand that there's a format, there's a system, there's a way to do that. When people have the skill to implement that, you see, getting type of soldiers like Sekou, well, that's part of a process. Sekou wasn't invented, he was born. He was born in the storm. And so it was the storm that shaped him, you know. And like Gwendolyn Brooks says in her poem, Second Sermon on the Waterland, she says, we can't be afraid. What will our season be if we start from fear? Live and go out, have your blooming in the noise and whipping the world. Because it's in the whirlwind that you have validity. That's what Sekou did. He came back and he stood in the whirlwind and he freed our comrade and he contributed to the building of a legacy that we have to talk about. We have to pass on, and we have to devise a system and an ideological unity so that we all could be interdependent on each other. An attack on one is an attack on all. You see, and we have to have that type of asymmetry to the power of the state that has absolute legal control and over violence. You see, so they can intimidate murdering babies sitting on the mama's lap in the parking lot. You see, these crackers ain't got no shame. And if we think the meek are going to inherit the earth, the only thing the meek is going to get is a good ass. You see, so we need to organize for ourselves, and Sekou is that example that I'm trying to put into a format, organizing methodology, so each organization that has part of his personality could contribute to the whole. You have to understand, Sekou had different personalities, different capacities. He could be a negotiator, he could be a general, he could sit back and be a dad, you know, to his big boys. You see what I'm saying? He could be a husband to his wife. He could be all of these things, you see? And what I'm trying to say, we need to build that type of movement, like these characteristics. Everybody got part like that in their system, in their education, in their approach. How do you put that together and coordinate it? So Sekou is something I'm working on, making a video game out this brother.
No doubt. That was Dhoruba Bin Wahad. We appreciate that, D. We also have joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dequi. We just joined by another brother who's no stranger. He's straight out the bricks. He came in with the brick wall behind him.
That's right.
And I know Val said that their names ring bell from coast to coast, but some people might not know. All right,
no doubt.
Another one who took 10 toes down. You know what I mean? They don't know, they're gonna know tonight.
No doubt. Jalil came in with the Joe Frazier. Okay, Jalil.
No, but this ain't Joe Frazier here. And ain't Cassius Clay either. this is Jalil Musa King right now. I got my back against the wall. They got our backs against the wall. All right, that's what I'm showing here. They got our backs against the wall. All right, we gotta come off this wall. Right, and Sekou was one of the persons who showed us how to come off this wall, how to get busy and how to get down. Right, how to be resilient, how to have determination, to be dedicated to this movement, to have love for our people. That was Sekou. All right, And so for us, we have to not only preserve the legacy, but we have to pass it on to the next generation, right? And this is why this program we have in here is very important. And I again, I appreciate Sekou. I appreciate Dequi and Val, my beloved wife, for putting this on. Right, to have that wherewithal and have that love for the people, love for Sekou, to share this information and share our stories, right, and preserve his legacy. But it's also important for us to understand what would Sekou be doing now. And you say, be Sekou, what would Sekou be doing now? Okay, and rest assured, because he was part of the Spirit of Mandela Coalition, part of the campaign that we organized today, and Sekou will be in Atlanta, Georgia, on July 4th. All right, for the national mobilization against genocide. That's what Sekou would be. All right. And so it's important for understand if you want to follow that tradition, to get lockstep in what we're doing with this work. Because he was one of the engineers of this national mobilization. He was one of the engineers for the International Tribunal that found the United States guilty of the charge of genocide against Black, brown, indigenous people. So let's keep it real. You say 10 toes down, that's how I'm coming. I'm coming off this wall. We gotta come off this wall.
Can I just say something, Kalanji? Thank you, Jaleel. I want to echo what Jaleel has said and the stuff that Sekou and Dhoruba are saying. Right. One of the things that I miss about not having Sekou in the physical is I could talk to him about stiff, determined resistance. He never made apologies for Black resistance. He never made apologies for us having the right to resist and the right to fight back, and for the oppressor to not dictate how we struggle, which is a big part of what happens today. Sekou always talked about the brothers when people came home, they didn't have anything. It's like what Dhoruba said. People don't have pensions, they don't have Social Security, they don't have Medicare, they don't have all of these things. And Sekou always spoke about the people that were left behind those walls. And he always said, we have a right to resist. And we cannot be afraid to say that we have a right to resist. And so I appreciate that. And that's one of the things that I miss, is that I don't have that. Like, there's a lot of things that I miss, right? But a big part of my life, the whole part of my life, is about resistance and not having a partner, a life partner, like whether we in bed or having breakfast or watching a movie, whatever it is that we're doing, I could talk to him about how I think, what I feel, what is going on. And what he said, Dhoruba said, he's a listener, right? And he'd say, baby, that's a little bit far out there. That's bring it down a little, right? But just having that, like having him as the barometer and the ear and the partner to be able to say the things that need to be said, because a lot of times people are not saying the things that need to be said. And that is one of the things that I miss and I admire about him and love about him.
No doubt. I appreciate you saying that, Dequi, because I wanted to, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. And, you're a good co-host. So, we're going to start with that. I don't know what happened to your camera. You all of a sudden you disappeared. You so black, you just, you just disappeared into the darkness, but we can still hear you. So that's all good. I'm listening and just, you all definitely mimic him well, because I can actually see him saying the words that you're saying, right? But Val, I want to ask you, you all, I think, you all were together like what? I know you was together before he was released back into what we call general population. What are some things that you could share besides what you just said? Because of the fact that the one thing that came across from everyone is that Sekou was a passionate and compassionate man. What are some of the things that surprised you, just as him being this mythological, to some of us, freedom fighter? What are some of the things that you wouldn't mind sharing with us, as far as like some of the things that kind of surprised you about Sekou Odinga?
That's to me.
Yes.
I can tell you that I love that man. The only thing he was humble about was his role in the Black freedom struggle. He was very self-effacing. He wasn't braggadocious about it. He most times didn't say anything when we go on tours and speak in places and colleges and around the country and do our thing. I would be his I would be his hype woman because he wouldn't hype up himself, right? So he was very modest about. He was not braggadocious. I found he had a sense of humor, right? Like you don't think of like you have these ideas of these like stiff resistance folks, but they're just everyday folks. So he was funny, he was gentle, he was loving. The way he talked about his mother, and he loved his sisters, right? He was a loving person because they present. You know, Albert Noah Washington, who was Jalil's co-defendant, and I know Sekou knows him because he was there so long, right? Noah wrote a poem. Noah was a political prisoner. He passed like 20 or so years ago in New York State, and he said, "Who I am depends on who you are." Right? And so the image that gets painted about the people who were in the Black Panther Party, although now it's trendy. Abdul Majid used to say we got more people in the Black Panther Party now than we had when the Black Panther Party was around because it was life threatening to be in the Black Panther Party at one time. Now people can be a part of it, stand up in audiences when they wasn't members and claim it, right? But the fact that he was always, he was just human. His humanity came through. He's nothing like the way, like when they would transport Sekou, like when they took him from Shawankan up to Clinton, they put him in a cage that he could not lay down flat. He could not stand up. He was handcuffed. He had the black box, his ankles, his wrists, his waist. The only reason why they stopped to go to the bathroom is because he told them, if you don't stop, you're gonna have a problem in this van. Right? So there could be helicopters swarming, they could be SWAT trucks following. So to the average person looking at this, they think there's some kind of serial killer or something, some like real bad, dangerous person. But it is dangerous to fight for your life. It is dangerous in America to be black in America, to be about black resistance in America. So it is dangerous. But though the humanity, his love, like Val said, his love for the people, his love for his family, his love for the brothers that he looked out for in there, the fathers, he called those young brothers, he always said his youngsters. Because when people came home, they always found their way to Sekou. Our phone was always ringing with people coming home and finding out where he was. And they were his youngsters. He said they ain't youngsters now because they're like 50 years old, but they're my youngsters. So his humanity was beautiful.
No doubt. I definitely, we appreciate that. I appreciate his patience because I remember one time we was on a panel and there was a young sister trying to tell him about Asada. And he was just, he just let her rap, you know what I mean? So much so that other people were getting upset because he never said, nothing about his relationship with Asada. He just let her rock, you know what I'm saying? And, that takes a lot of patience because of the fact that, as you mentioned, it's so many know-it-alls these days, you know what I mean? They know more about you than you do. You know what I mean?
Kalanji.
Yes, sir.
Kalanji, let me take a minute, just 1 second here to apologize for my abruptness when I entered your program. I didn't say assalamu alaikum to my comrades, Sekou and D. So I just want to do that and make that correction. All right.
You didn't give me salams either, brother. What up?
All right. But Kalanji, you know, you didn't get there. But Kalanji, I just, I want to also thank you for hosting this program, bro. You know, it's very much appreciated. That's right. So I just want to make that correction. It was bothering my heart when I jumped in here and didn't do that. Okay, so thank you, bro.
No question. Well, while you got the mic, I want to ask you, the same question I asked the other panelists. When was the first time you ran into Sekou, and what does Sekou mean to you? And also who you are, because you came and did your commercial. You like, look, this is what we gonna do. You better be here July 4th, and that's that. Now that you got that out the way, people in the chat scared. They're like, who the hell is Jalil?
Back against the wall, bro. Back against the wall.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, like Clark, okay, if I must die. Go ahead, brother.
No, I first met Sekou after I got out of prison. All right. That was in 2020. I believe it was 2020, 2021. I first met Sekou.
I'm gonna have to bounce, man. This I gotta go batten down the hatches in a minute.
Okay. No doubt. We appreciate you coming on, brother.
Thank you so much, Dhoruba. I love you.
Thanks for letting me know, Dequi. I really appreciate that. And Kalanji, I'm glad you're hosting it. I know y'all gonna hold it down. But I just want to say that these are very critical times, and a lot of the work that Khalil is doing and Kalanji is doing with the upcoming conference, and the things that they're working on, very crucial in us trying to mobilize a base, so that we can build infrastructure for empowerment and get some of these economies and bootlickers and wannabe get them out of all politics.
You're breaking up, D. That storm is taking over your joint.
But I got to go. Power to
people. Love you, Dhoruba. Peace.
Okay, love to the people, comrade.
Thank you, brother.
Be safe over there.
Yes, sir. Definitely for folks, and I'm sorry, Jalil, that was Dhoruba Bin Wahad. It's after 3 a.m. over there where he's at in Ghana. We did mention it was a storm. So for folks who, I know people were saying that, you couldn't hear and somebody's mic and all that. The brothers in Ghana, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So, we happy. Jalil, go ahead, brother. You had the mic.
No, yeah. Appreciate the question, Kalanji. I believe if my memory serves me correctly, it was back in 2020, 2021. We was preparing for the international tribunal that he was organizing, and so then of course I found it heartwarming, right? Because after the international tribunal, after it was concluded, we had a little dance. Right, and Dequi and Dhoruba, Dequi and Sekou was cutting the rug, man, at the Audubon, right, at the center, Malcolm X Betty Shabazz Center, and I just laid in the corner, just laid in the cut, man, just watching, right, just taking it all in, right, and seeing this love and this beauty, and especially the relationship that he and Dequi has, right. And from that alone, it gave me another understanding, right, of his compassion, right, and his love for our people, and to a certain degree, I was in awe, right, of my comrade, of what he achieved, man. We didn't talk about him escaping from the house when they came to get at SWAT. When SWAT came after him. Right, and how he climbed down the 2 stories of a water pipe, right, to get away. Right, that's why we called him our Black Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Going to Cuba, right, helping establish the international chapter of the Black Panther Party, in Algeria. Training with the PLO. I got pictures of him with Yasser Arafat, DC, and Eldridge Cleaver together. Right, and then coming back to the country, right, and continue to organize back into the country, right, and assist with the escaping of Assata Shakur, right, and shepherding her into Cuba, right, getting captured, doing his 33 years in prison, coming back out of prison, right, and get right back into the movement again, and help organize the International Tribunal. Yes, brother, I saluted my comrade, right, and so I just sat back and watched at that time, sat back and watched and look at this loving human being, right, give up himself, right, for our people and for our struggle. Well, that's important for me, right? But hey, the brother can dance. I can tell you that. He's laying it down. He putting them 2 feet together.
Yeah. We played a clip of him earlier, getting down, and I was hating on him. I'm like, damn, if I get my 2-step like that, I'll be all right. But I got 2 left feet, so that ain't gonna happen. But I appreciate you sharing that, Jalil, because and one of the things I want to tap into real quick, because you just said that you all met in 2020, I believe you said, and I think that's important because I know that there are folks that are watching, and I want to remind them that you had been locked up a half a century, and he was locked up 33 and a half years. So you went in what, 1971? Is that correct? When you was locked up?
I went in 1971. Locked up in 1971 at the age of 19, and I didn't get out to 2020 at the age of 68.
So that the thing that was wild for me, just real personal, not sliding to the side. I was born December of 70. So when you were getting in, you was going in. I'm a baby. You got out. I'm 50 years old. You understand what I'm saying? So just to kind of give folks the reality of this thing. So my entire life up until I'm 50 years old, you're in prison. You understand what I'm saying? Of course, we knew you, we supported, so on and so forth, as well as Sekou and others. But I wanted to point that out, and I also want to, shameless plug. You also on our podcast, the first podcast you ever was on was on our podcast. I just want to say that because throw that in there. But anyway,
that's right. You introduced me. You introduced me to podcast. And I'm not gonna talk about what happened since then, but yeah, you introduced me to the podcast, and it was good to have our other comrades on as well. Using the social media forum to teach. But again, in terms of Sekou, right? Sekou was a warrior, right? He was a warrior. What you call a quiet warrior, right? He understood he understood and internalized the idea of being clandestine. Okay. And he operated in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? Except for when him and Dequi got together, then it was a different story. It was all out love, and you say there flowers and all that beauty. It just it emanated from them. You know what I mean? And that's something he could not help because of. As she said, he was the love of her life. I'm certain that she was the love of his life as well.
And even in that capacity, he was teaching. You know what I mean?
Right on.
For me, I was witnessing it. He was showing you how to be a loving man to woman. You know what I mean? Even in that arena. You know what I mean? Because I watched it. We have talks about that all the time about we come to each other complaining about this and that. At the end of the day, exactly how to be a man to a woman. So not only were he's a warrior, like Dequi said, that depending on who you are, that's who he was to you. You know what I mean? That was a good statement because I recognize that. Depending on what the circumstances was, that's what you're going to get.
Definitely appreciate both of you. Dequi, I noticed something about Sekou, like being in different rooms. We've been in different situations, different rooms where, an example, right? I used to say that Sekou was like H.L. Whitendale. You know what I'm saying? When he talks, everybody get quiet. Everybody's listening, right? I can recall on different occasions, everybody getting loud and talking all out of turn, so on and so forth. For some reason, Sekou could start talking at a whisper like Sundiata, and everybody get quiet. It's like as soon as he opened his mouth, it's like the pause button hit. I know you must have seen him at some point not so happy. Does he keep the same demeanor all the time, Dequi?
He was I mean, yeah, yes, because he was very self-contained. I'm sure that that had to do with his personality and his spirit, but it also had to do with the madness in prison and being within yourself and not allowing outside forces to control you, right? For you to always be in control. But yeah, he got annoyed, right? Because he would tell me when I annoyed him, right? So he got annoyed at things, but he wasn't like, he wasn't into slamming things and yelling and all that kind of stuff. He didn't do that. He had grace, and that doesn't mean that we are deifying Sekou, right? Because he's a human being with all the shortcomings that come with that. But he was also, because of his faith in Allah and his devout belief in Islam, right? That he knew that nothing happened without Allah's blessing, and he lived his life daily with that knowledge. I mean, watching Sekou for 4.5 months in the hospital was when Sekou said about the lessons he learned just being around him. Sekou was in the hospital for 4.5 months, not able to move. We had to do. The brothers came there every night. They slept. They slept on chairs. They slept on hard hospital benches. Whatever hospital, whether it was ICU, it was following his surgery, because we was back and forth between the rehab, the hospital, and ICU. He never spent one night alone, and he was never left alone because a shift of people came from 7 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon when I got there, and then the brothers came. Sekou Shakur was Tuesday nights, so every night another brother came, and so throughout those 4.5 months, he never complained. He never took it out on people. He never said, "Woe is me." We talked about it one day because he caught me. I would always try not to cry in front of him, right? And so one day he said, Why are you crying? Do you think I'm not going to get better?" I'm like, "No, I'm crying because I feel like I am worried more about you than you are about yourself." He said, "I'm not worried." He said, "This is Allah's will, and this is something that I'm dealing with right now. And inshallah, I'm gonna get my strength back." And so watching him for 4.5 months deal with this life-changing situation, it was amazing. He crossed over to the other side. He transitioned from September 3rd until January 12th with the same level of dignity, determination, all of those things, love, honor, respect, compassion, that he lived his life. And I told him that I believe that all those people, because it was 40 something people on that care team, all those people came across generations and across racial lines because of the kind of person he is before he went into prison and after he came back.
That's a
So
fact.
he is a great embodiment of character. And when he asked for the care team for the brothers to come to spend the night, he specifically said, "I want brothers," because he said the sisters always step up. "I want the brothers to stand up. I want the brothers to step up." And step up they did. Thankfully, Sekou was part of that team.
Yeah, that's what I mean about him continuing to teach, man, bringing people together, still organizing, man. At his weakest moment, he showed how strong he was. I mean, the lessons learned during those 4 months is just, I mean, it broke me. I ain't gonna lie. It broke me, but built me. It taught me so much. It strengthened me in ways that I didn't even imagine. You know what I mean? But to this day, I'm still affected by it. And I can't really explain it, but to the end, man, he was teaching. And he was teaching us how to hold on to one another. He was teaching us how strong we are together and how we needed one another. I mean, throughout whatever challenges that we had to face. And it was with grace, like the sister said. He did it like, I'm gonna say this here. He was worried more about us. At least that's what I got from him in conversations, little bits of things that I was witnessing. That he was worried about us. He was worried about the queen. And I think that once they had their conversation, that she was going to be all right. I think then he realized, then he made a decision that he was all right. It wasn't until that he knew that she was going to be all right. I mean, and I witnessed that, and I never seen nobody go through nothing like that with that kind of grace and that kind of grit. You know what I mean? And he was still Sekou. Even in his most vulnerable moments, he was Sekou. He was still somebody that you admired, you want to be like. You know what I mean? And I'm honored. You know, I used to tease him. And every time he would meet somebody, this is little Sekou, and I act like I was upset. But it was right, the queen.
Yep.
But I only told Dequi to say it was the it was the biggest compliment I ever received in my life. But I wouldn't tell him that. You know what I mean? I act like, yo, I ain't no little Sekou. Yo, and he get mad. But he always, yo, this is little Sekou. It was an honor.
Can I add just a note to that? Dequi mentioned that he was a devout Muslim, right? So it's important to understand how the Islam impacted his life, right? And particularly in terms of death, right? Muslims are trained to think about death at least once a day, right? Because we never know at what time or at what period or what circumstances we're gonna leave this planet, all right? And so for him, I believe, as it would be for me, I pray, is that when that time comes, I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it, to make that transition. Because I waited all my life to make that transition, knowing that transition was part of this living, that we ain't coming out of this world alive, all right? And so for us, it was always a necessity, for Muslims, always a necessity to keep that in focus, okay? So therefore, you wouldn't be afraid of doing the work that needs to be done. A lot of people, we can't do this work because they're afraid of dying, all right? And Malcolm X has stated that, what's the price of freedom? Death. Okay, and he understood that. Sekou understood that, all right? And so, and then also in terms of the Islam teaches us that if you die from illness, right, or something like that, you die a martyr. You know, so he knew where he was going, all right? He was going to Jannah. Right. So what are we afraid about that? You know what I'm saying? His concern was, and I believe it's for all of us, is what do we leave behind and how do we leave it behind? Okay. So what you say, Sekou, said, knowing that she was all right, right? He's ready to go. Yeah. Right? Because that's the major concern. What we leaving behind. Because we know what our future is going to be, right? If we live right. You know what I'm saying? You know, so with that, that's the reason why, in my understanding of my Islam and my understanding of my comrade Sekou Odinga, I'll bet my best Quran, right? And I ain't the better, I ain't gambling, right? But I'm just saying, right, that his feelings and his thought in making that transition was to ensure that what he left behind was secure, okay? So he's not worried about where he's going forward, right? His transition. What did I say? I mean,
definitely appreciate that. I want to, because as the preacher man used to say, it's getting late in the evening. So we do have a video tribute that I'll be playing immediately after, you know, we get off the screen. So you all stick around. It's a very touching 30-minute plus video from all types of comrades talking about Sekou. A couple of them are ancestors now. So, you know, I know my understanding it was supposed to have been played at his memorial and it didn't get played. So we're going to play it here tonight because we want to show just how much people love our comrade, OG, our elder, Baba, husband to Dequi, Sekou Odinga. I want to start with you, Dequi, just in closing, because we all say be Sekou, and if we talk to 100 people, we'll all agree on 100 different things, and then we'll have different stories intertwined within those agreements. So I want to ask you, for the sake of legacy and movement, what do you feel Sekou would have us do at this stage in the game, this stage of the movement? And I'm gonna ask that question from all of you.
Or like, what Kwame Ture says, organize, organize, organize. Study, study, study. Be in community and be in relationship with each other. As the village, be the village that we used to be, right? Looking out for each other. I could not have these last 2 years have been incredibly tough for me. It feels like Sekou passed yesterday, right? But I've been able to endure these last 2 years because of the community and the people that have helped me through, who have held my hand, who have listened to me cry, who have encouraged me, who have invited me to their homes to stay with them, both here and internationally. So organize, study, know that you have a right to be free. And your freedom is not going to be given to you. It's something you have to fight, and you have a right. And that's what he was very, very clear of. We have a right to resist. So I hope, that's the void that is left, that because he said that all the time. And we need to say that to people all the time. Everybody's not going to do the same thing, but everybody can do something to say that we have a right to fight for our freedom and our self-determination. So I thank you, Kalonji. And of course, I thank the folks who are gathered here, and those that I can't see, but definitely the ones that I see. Thank y'all for being here. I love Sekou, and I can't put into words how much I miss him in the daily practice of my life. But I know and I pray for his ascension into Jannah every single day. And I feel blessed that I had him in my life for the time that I did. And so that gives me comfort.
No doubt. We appreciate you, and we love you too, Dequi.
Thank you.
We'll take it to Val, and we'll go clockwise and move on.
Thanks, Kalonji. No, I just want to say first, I love you, Dequi. And I just want to also mention that, when like Dequi mentioned and others did too, that Sekou, he lived his life with dignity, and that's also how he transitioned. Sekou got off the ventilator on a Wednesday. He transitioned on a Friday. That was the day of Juma. And so, as Muslims, we believe that when you transition on the day of Juma, you automatically are going to paradise. So I just wanted to say that was for me as a Muslim, that was an indication, and also it just showed what type of man Sekou was. Like y'all mentioned his humanity, his humility, his love. Sekou was just so funny. I mean, he was just loving and warm, and he created his spaces. Again, motivation, comfort. So what would Sekou want us to be doing now? Organizing, like Dequi said. I think that in this moment of so much so many contradictions in our organizing spaces, fighting for his comrades. I think that he would definitely be a leader in this work. Will make such a huge impact on it. As Jaleel mentioned and Dhoruba mentioned, Sekou was a part of Spirit of Mandela. He spearheaded. He's one of the leadership members of the Spirit of Mandela. So he would be working on a national mobilization. He would be working on freeing his comrades. In terms on a personal level, he would be going on trips with Dequi. He would be playing with my grandbabies. My grandbaby. So I miss him on so many levels, and I just hope that, when we say be Sekou, we really say it and we live like him. We don't just say it. It's not a slogan. It's not a t-shirt to wear. It's not a sweatshirt to wear. You have to, if he really inspires you, if you believe that you want to be Sekou, then be him in all the ways you can, in all the ways that you can. So I love you, Sekou. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary to Dequi and Sekou. And I love you. You're welcome. And I'll pass it.
So before, and definitely appreciate that, Val. Before you go on, Jalil, I was just reminded of something in my mind as Val spoke. I want to remember on this day that my godmother, our comrade, one of the reasons why I'm here in Atlanta, Fulani Suni Ali, Ia Fulani Suni Ali, made her transition on this day 10 years ago. So it's been 10 years since the transition of Ia Fulani. She actually made her transition on Baba Sekou's birthday. So I want to definitely lift up and acknowledge one of my generals, one of the folks who is another one that is a quiet warrior and someone who was not because sometimes people say, a strong woman revolutionary. She was a strong revolutionary, period. Yeah. All that woman shit is secondary when it comes to the work that Ia Fulani put in. So I wanted to definitely acknowledge her. But go ahead, Comrade Baba Jalil.
I really don't have much more to say than what I said when I first got on, right? Sekou be about the business, be about the work, right? And that's what I want to remember of him, okay? Because that's my one of my inspiration, right? We, as Val said, right? If you want to be Sekou, right? Study the work, right? Study the work for that this legacy of resistance that he represents. Okay, and that's extremely important. It is not a slogan; it is an affirmation, right? It's an affirmation of resistance, affirmation of a revolutionary, affirmation of our Africanness, right? And for me, that's what he represents in so many different ways. So I want to leave with that, right? Yeah, I want to leave with that. Inna Allahi wa inna Allahi raji'un, right? From Allah we came, from Allah we return, right? And that's important for us to understand that as well. I mean.
Shukran, Jalil. Brother Sekou, I would call you Lil Sekou, but you look kind of big. I don't want to run into you.
It's all good, man. It's all good, bro. Believe me.
I want to see you trying to take me down and whatnot.
Make no bones about that. When I say it was an honor, it was an honor, man.
No doubt, no doubt.
But I think the sister said it perfectly. He'll be organizing, because that's what he was doing on his last days. He was organizing. He organized the people around him, and he had a plan for that. You know what I mean? He knew exactly what we needed. We need to lean on one another during those tough times. So he was smart enough to recognize that, and he knew that we are better together than we are separate. And today we look at society, man. It's just so much disunity. You know what I mean, like white folk, they winning big time. But we need to be organized. We need to do the work. We need to, protect the community, like the brothers was doing back in the day. Shout out to Jalil, you know what I mean, and other brothers who was doing that kind of work. We got to remind these young cats about this here, and that's our role. That's the work that we do. And the brothers who come behind say, "Cool, man." Like you see, Hamza just jumped on the work that Hamza's doing out here. Other brothers who are doing out here in the community. We got to pick that banner up and continue that work. I mean, that's what I think. And one thing he would be doing, he'd be getting ready for that Nick parade tomorrow. That's what he would be doing. He'll have that. We'd be on the phone right now. He'd be worrying about who driving, how we getting down there. Believe that. He'd be at that Nick parade.
No doubt, no doubt.
That's what I think.
No doubt, no doubt. Definitely want to say that we appreciate all the folks who not only showed up to speak power into the name of our comrade and ancestor, warrior, a great example, period. And I want to remind folks of two things that are coming up. One is the Organizers New Cool Summit, which will take place next weekend, June 26th, 27th, 28th, June 26th. We'll be showing the film Organizers the New Cool. And the 27th and 28th, we have a number of different panels that will take place, everything from dealing with urban survival and preparedness to agriculture to education to liberation, political prisoners, law, et cetera, so on and so forth. So make sure you tap into that, but also make your way to Atlanta on July 4th. You know what I'm saying? They have the National Mobilization Against Genocide, which is taking place in Malcolm X Park in the west end of Atlanta, across the street from the masjid that my leader, who I came down here to support, Imam Jamal Alameen, built right in that community, right across the street from the masjid. And, in saying that, I remember there was a situation here in Atlanta where we went to there was a program in the west end of Atlanta. There was a program in the park. And I remember going to the masjid with Sekou to make salat. And we was talking about Imam Jamil. And so I just thought about that. But make sure if you are in the Atlanta area, or if you can get to Atlanta area, make sure you tap in and support the efforts and join in on the national mobilization against genocides. Brothers, sisters, comrades, I appreciate you all coming on. Stay on top of the world. We're gonna win. As Kwame Ture would say, despite ourselves, in spite of ourselves. And this is one of a series. Let's stay on top and keep on winning. We're gonna close out with this video that I was telling you all about, because we think it's very important for you to, get an understanding of who Sekou is from more of his comrades. And I'm looking for it right now, and all of a sudden it's looking like it disappeared. But we're gonna find it. I'm just running my mouth for now, but definitely, again, we thank you all. And until next time, this Black Power Media. Be Sekou.
Thank you, Kalanji. And for people who can support, please support Kalanji in this effort, because we don't have enough media, and freedom ain't free, and neither is getting the information to folks. So you can support on a sustaining basis or one time, whatever you can do. Any small or large amount helps. Thank y'all so much.
We definitely appreciate you. And I'm gonna have to bring Dequi on here more often. Dequi know how to ask for the money. She like it. Furthermore, freedom ain't free. You know what I mean?
That's right there. Freedom ain't free.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna say this before we close, because Dequi now brought the preacher in me out of it. I see folks on the street all the time, everywhere. They're like, "Oh man, we love your program," so on and so forth. Put some change in the bucket in order for us to make change.
Right.
You already know we do what we do. You know what I mean?
Right.
As my drunk uncle used to say, help us stay here. You know what I'm saying? But also check out Jalil's show. I want to mention that.
We are on Liberators.
Thank you. We're our own liberators. In fact,
podcast. They can go to WAOOL.JalilMutakin.com. WAOOL.JalilMutakin.com. Let's keep it short, right? Keep it 10 toes down, right? We are on LiberatorJalilMutakin.com, right? And that's a rabbit hole. That's my website. That's my website. But we're on Liberators Podcast. It's on anything entertainment network. But anyway, you go on YouTube and you can find that podcast.
Jalil, I got to do my shameless self-promotion. I'm on the latest episode of We Are All Liberators. Damn, Jalil, let me get it out.
That's right.
Along with Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela, and thank you, Jalil, for that. I'm joking, but definitely y'all should check that out as well, as far as and some of the past episodes. Found the video. We're gonna check out some of the comrades who Jalil who inspired, and we say, let's stay ready for revolution.
Thank you. Walaikum assalam.
Peace.
we want to talk about Brother Sekou Odinga. My husband, Don Cox, the field marshal, once had to go to, I want to say, Congo, Brazzaville. I remember Don Cox coming back and saying to me, if anything ever happens, Sekou is the only person I want at my back.
He was the lion of the movement. That's what Sekou means to me. And countless others, innumerable others.
If ever there was anyone that I could call the quintessential revolutionary, it would be him.
He's the greatest, most outstanding example of steadfastness I ever met. And by steadfastness, I don't mean something that came out of rigidity or dogma. It wasn't like that at all with him. It came out of love for his people.
When you think about a lead man, think about an anchor man, think about somebody who has your back, somebody that can take the lead if necessary, somebody is there by your side.
He always had the ability to make ordinary person, ordinary people better.
It's like you just believed him, and it made you want to fight for your freedom. It made you want to become a freedom fighter.
Overall, Sekou Odinga and I have been in a dialogue for 40 years that at different points was more intense or less intense.
Brother Sekou Odinga was a man who loved Almighty God, loved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Islam.
He was true to his religion, and he was an example for all of us to see what a Muslim person is supposed to be like.
A resolute revolutionary freedom fighter who never gave up the struggles and never turned his back on his people to the day he passed.
He just never took a day off from loving us all, and loving his people and loving his community.
He showed up fully himself, and most of us show up with masks. As James Baldwin warned us, those masks will mask the love too. That was never the case with Sekou. He showed up fully, beautifully, perfectly, and imperfectly, but as is.
Even as a young child, even though he was the fourth brother, when my mom had to run errands at night, and several times she had to take my dad to work. We lived in Queens, New York. My dad worked on the island, so that was quite a distance. And rather than maybe someone would think that she would have chosen one of the older boys, she always chose him. So even she, without voicing it, saw him as a protector. Those things, when I look back on it, says to me he was becoming Sekou. That wasn't his given name, but that's who he was becoming.
The general narrative seems to suggest that the Black Panther Party developed, and afterwards it came about the development of the Black Liberation Army. But the idea of a clandestine military force in the community to serve the community and to serve our nation was already brewing in our minds, even before the idea of before the idea of a party to serve the people. And that's one of the things that Sekou seemed to be ready for.
I joined the Panther Party. Sekou was the political education instructor in the Harlem office. And so I came maybe on Tuesday night for political education, and other nights for other things, but political education was Tuesday. And Sekou was the instructor, so that he would instructor of me and a bunch of other families in the fort. And so the way I met him was that I used to always try to say something in each class, just so that he can know that I'm keeping along with it. I said something to Sekou about, well, that seemed like there could be two answers to this situation. And Sekou said, no, in this classroom, there's only one answer to this situation, right? And it's the one I just told you about.
I just remember how well respected, even though, and how principled he was.
When this man walked into the room, you could see the power.
There wasn't aloofness or stand back. He had a certain quiet dignity about him.
And he wasn't a man to play with. If he told you something, he meant it.
If you thought that you were going to run into a person just because he was, didn't raise his voice and therefore he was punk or he was shy person, you were mistaken.
Sekou had that when he smiled, it lit up the room. He had this twinkle in his eye. It was a genuine, feeling that you felt when you were talking with Sekou.
The extent of like his revolutionary force in life, I admire the general, the strategist, like how much he was able to display tenacity and apply his conscious mind to the world around him. Like he had so much world change pass through his hands, and he was a person it just felt like nothing was impossible for.
The Sekou Odinga is one of the greatest strategists of our lifetime.
He was a master organizer. That he had the ability to devise a plan, to come up with a plan, to effectively carry it out.
Who was the calmest, who was the most discerning, and who acted immediately. He didn't hesitate when it came to action, and usually his decisions were correct.
They talk about when everything goes wrong, but Sekou, to my knowledge, never planned a military action that went wrong.
And in fact, that's one of the reasons why he wasn't captured. And when the NYPD swept down on us on April 1st, 1969, to arrest us, Sekou escaped. The police had blocked off the stairs and all of the exits from the building. And Sekou shimmied down a drain pipe 4 stories up in the apartment building into an empty alley and escaped. And the next time we heard from Sekou, he was in Algeria.
Sekou spent a lot of his time in the office in the national section, where he, Larry Mack, Elbridge Cleaver, Don Cox, Pete O'Neill, and miscellaneous other people that would come from all over the world to talk to the Black Panther Party people. Sekou was very instrumental in welcoming people.
Many of the Panthers who were in the international section, they went on to seek asylum in France. Some of them went to Tanzania, some to South Africa. But Sekou Odinga came back to the United States. He came back underground, he came back to the United States, and he became a foremost general and leader in the Black Liberation Army in the underground.
It wasn't the popular thing to do. It was a sacrifice. It's something that he gave selflessly, like without thinking, oh, this is for myself, this is for me, this is for my, this is an era that was just kind of like, no, I gotta give myself. in order to, and other people got to give themselves. And that is what's going to, that is what's going to contribute to the future generations and the future liberation movement.
People had known that I had been wanted by the FBI and wanted by the police. People hadn't been known that he had been wanted by the FBI and wanted by the police. When people would see me, they would recognize me. Sometimes I would be somewhat disguised, but never disguised to the point as my brother Sekou. You wouldn't even recognize Sekou Odinga from one day to the next because he was so meticulously adept at making himself look as if he was someone different from who he looked like yesterday.
We were at Mutulu's memorial program, and I walked in, and Watani, here come that DC crew. And I saw some dude sitting beside him.
People would look at him, and I could see at some point in a meeting where people would say, could that be Sekou Odinga?
And I'd say, hey, how you doing, Watani? How you doing, brother? I shook his hand and everything. How you doing, brother?
You didn't know for the first half hour that you were in the presence of Sekou Odinga.
And I turned around, and then I felt something on my back. And I turned around, like, but it's just like he said, man, you would never know. And I mean, the closest people to him, he would get us.
And now that you know, just be quiet about it and continue on with the meeting. Be happy that we have somebody who could have fooled you like that. Because just as he fooled you like that, he can fool the police.
That time period that we met, it was a lot of turbulence going on. I think the Black Panther Party split. He down to it, and so things was just in a kind of world, twirl. Mm-hmm. He was the kind of brother that you could shelter with in the twirl of the whirlwind. If space was tight and you had to sleep with one of your male comrades, he was the kind of comrade that a female could feel very so sheltered with, that whatever activities that might have, and and he was very concerned that my children, because I did have children, so he always wanted, it was kind of like a protective big brother, really, who wanted to keep me and my children safe. He never came and did not bring it. He was always bringing something. As a matter of fact, I think I still have a doll from my youngest child that he brought me, from his travels, like a little black rat doll. Mm-hmm. And I still have that doll.
Recognizing that the white anti-imperialist movement was part of the oppressor nation itself and had privilege, and we have privilege as a result of that, and need to take responsibility for that in then fighting against organized white supremacy and class privilege, all of those different things, were also a part of our friendship and our relationship, and to be able to get past that, to be able to have a friendship, knowing that there's always these issues at play, was also very generous on his part.
I think I was a lawyer for a couple of months and became one of Dhoruba's lawyers and eventually his main lawyer. There was the so-called Brinks robbery on October 20th of 1981. So I went to see Dhoruba. I, of course, had heard the name Sekou Odinga, and he said, look, you got to go see Sekou. You got to make sure he's okay. And so I packed up my bag and went to the Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, to the prison ward. Sekou Odinga appeared wearing a hospital gown and pushing his intravenous pole, coming to this visit. The reason that he was in that condition is that after he was arrested on, I think it was October 23rd or October 24th of 1981, he was brutally beaten. And beaten so much that his liver and pancreas stopped working.
Sekou in the federal trial was convicted of 2 racketeering, what they call racketeering, the biggest racketous in the world history, accuse us who try to fight back of being racketeers. One was the liberation of Assata Shakur from prison, what could be more honorable. The other count was the Brinks car robbery that ended up in as I said, when Orion ended up in a shootout. Sekou wasn't there for Brinks. It wasn't just that he wasn't there. As I later learned in the initial discussions, he thought it was a bad idea and didn't go on it. He thought it was a bad idea for reasons that panned out to be true. So here we are, Crazy and Sekou and myself, 3 of us facing life in prison, separated from our children and our families, having gone through a lot of travails. In that situation, it's very easy for people to start blaming other people. And there were no recriminations among the 3 of us for whatever anyone did wrong or didn't do right. But Sekou didn't even say, although I told them not to do that action and they wouldn't listen to me, those idiots. None of that. He understood he's a revolutionary, committed to the struggle. The point isn't to blame other people. There is a point, and the 3 of us worked on learning from the errors and the mistakes, because it's not just about us who are all going to do life in prison. It's about the movement.
Around 2010, 2011, there was a number of organizations doing work around political prisoners, helping out with Sekou. And at that point, he felt that he needed his own committee. He needed a solid committee. He felt that if he had a lawyer in the committee, there were some issues, legal issues that he could fight that could get him out. We actually, just from the ground up, built a people's committee, self-defense committee for Sekou Odinga, and we called it Sekou Odinga Defense Committee. They had him at that time in Dannemora, upstate New York, which was a 5-hour drive from the city. So basically would take his wife, take his family, and I get to have conversations with him about everything from religion to political struggle to his involvement in the Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army. Eventually we came, he was my mentor and we were like brothers.
I got a bunch of phone calls from New York, and Sekou was coming home. So when someone comes home, the first thing you do is you go to them, you financially enable them. And the one time I was supposed to meet him at a fair that they give for political prisoners in New York, he didn't come. And I wrote him a check and I gave it to his wife. I come back to Philadelphia and he called me. He said, Barbara, why did you write this check? And in the memo, I had written something in the memo, which I'm not going to say. And he said, why did you write that? And I said, because that was for all the times when I was in Philly and you came to see me and you gave me support. When you know that there's somebody who believes what you believe, who loves what you love, and believes in the struggle of Black people, I always felt safe.
Sekou came out of prison and he just talked about unity and organizing, unity and organizing. And I think that was a very important point, that he put forward in every place that he did work.
the major thing I remember is, how he pulled together his years of work in the community, capitalizing off of all of the relationships that he built and all of the trustworthy connections that he had, that they put together and worked on developing an organization. That organization, the Spirit of Mandela Coalition, Baba Sekou Odinga and Sister Dequi and others pulled that together. And I was honored to be a part of that tribunal with Baba Sekou. I spent those days with him.
The relationship between, Baba Sekou started to grow more through one of our initiatives, which is the Elders Collective, which was really a way for us to, learn, ask how we could be of service.
We used to just call and maybe start off asking a question like, when y'all did the breakfast program, how did y'all do political education? What were y'all thinking about?
And that led us to, doing supporting an event called Curfest. That was really, for me, one of the ways that I got closer, or just doing more work with Sekou.
He always was kind of trying to hear from the next generation. So even when he answered whatever, he also really was just trying to listen and trying to get your thoughts,
He really loved the young people. He loved to be around, the youth, and really just instill that type of, I see you.
Baba Sekou was very aware of what I do, like of my work and my music. He was aware of that. He knew my songs. I mean, I know I have footage of Baba Sekou at one of Nancy's friends' event. I think it was like a family event. And they were all, there was a video of all of them, just talking. Is about a group of Palestinians. Obviously, one of them was my sister. So you can hear music in the background, but you see my sister, moving the camera to focusing the camera on Baba Sekou, and he's just bumping his head like that. And Nancy's like, "What are you bumping to?" And he's like, "That's Shadia."
He loved to eat, and I like to cook. So when he would come, I know it's like something special that I knew that he may like, I would try to make it. And I took him back to, like when we were kids, young, and what your parents might have made for you, like a cake or, so we started doing that kind of stuff with Sekou.
I was having hair problems. Like my hair tie was stuck in my hair, knotted, and I hate doing my hair. And I was like about to just take scissors and just chop it out, which would leave like a thick part of my hair, like much shorter than the rest of my hair. It would look crazy. And I've done it before, so I was just like, whatever. But he actually really kindly unknotted the knot that was wrapped around the hair tie and got it out. And I think that it's a small moment, but it's I get emotional. But it's, a very, I think it was like just a really beautiful example of the sort of love he possessed. I think that sometimes this work, or his undertakings, if you will, ask for, and I don't want to say require because I don't know, but they sort of demand a level of masculinity that can sometimes be incompatible with this expression of vulnerable love. And but he didn't have that, he wasn't stoic in that way or harsh in that way with me ever. And I would say in life he wasn't. He was very, very humorous all the time. And I think that's what really set him apart.
When I think of Sekou, I think of love, revolutionary love.
When I met Baba Sekou, like I met Dequi as well. So it's like for me, Baba Sekou, Dequi, Baba Sekou, like just one for me.
He loved very much his wife, Dequi.
It was enchanting, to watch the two of them at events, to watch them at home, to watch them interact with the children, and the love both of them showed for the people. How a person could spend that much time in jail and be tortured and go through the things that he had went through, He was a little ill when he came home, and but to watch his health grow and to watch him and Dequi, not only is it a love story about the two, it's an example. Through the years, I've seen one of the most beautiful, revolutionary love stories ever.
He loved his family, and all the family knew he loved them. He had, of course, he had a lot of kids, but he had nieces and nephews and cousins, and everyone had a special kinship to Sekou. Each person liked him in their own way.
In the last period of his life, I had the great privilege and honor of being part of a group of people who were in the care group for him.
Right when he was passing away and transitioning, we was part of a care team that was supporting Baba Sekou at the hospital.
I really felt close to, his family, close to him, you know, giving him massages, just taking care of our elders. And that is something that, I never grew up learning and understanding.
Me and Jasiri was there on some nights with him, taking, time supporting him and being with him and learning with him. And he told me many stories on those different nights. This was going on for about 3 or 4 months.
And it made me understand, who I wanted to be as an organizer, how I want to support the community. I think you can't be around, anybody who fighting for liberation and not reflect on yourself. Like, so that's how I felt. I always was reflective of, like, every time I left, I would say cool about myself, and the, work that I'm doing.
I mean, I would see him usually like at least once a week, usually. And then when he was going through his care, like in rehabilitating and learning how to walk and all that kind of stuff, I was there twice a week. So I was trying to get like just like a small piece of like feathery lint or something of eyelashes. And it took us like 3, like it was difficult because he could feel it, but I couldn't see it. And at the end of that, I was like, "Hey, I," and he started giggling, and I was like, "What? Funny?" He said, "The way you said it, yeah." And I was like, "What? Like, what are we talking about? You're not all right?" He was like, "I was. It's just the way you said it was funny." And I'm like, "Who?" And he said, "Like a new African." But that was the night I went home and actually read through the New African Creed. Because I like the Republic of New Africa. These are things that I had heard of being around these folks, but hadn't really given like time and research to. So I remember going home and reading that, and going, "Oh no, this is something I mean. I am a new African." So it truly was like all these little ways and little moments that like my life was redirected.
So for me, my relationship with him and what he exposed me to made me a better revolutionary, made me a better soldier, made me a better community servant, made me a better father, made me a better brother, taught me the true concept of loyalty.
That's one of the things that I honor and love about Sekou is that his leadership and his understanding and his stand that he never compromised that. Yes, we were Black Liberation Army members. Yes, we liberated Assad Shakur, and we have a right and a duty as a people, just like the Palestinians today have a right to fight and defend, their human rights. That we had an obligation and a right to have an army of people that stood up for African people in this country. And so that struggle continues.
He represents resilience and liberation and willpower and steadfastness. He represents all of these things that we needed to in order to build ourselves up to be who we are today.
I admire his mind. I admire his calmness. I admire his willingness to work across and through differences. I admire that he's the man who said, we live in a world where everybody always wants to call someone out. My practice was to call people in. That's Sekou Odinga.
We will always speak his name. His legacy will live through all of us.
I think that Sekou could easily be considered best black revolutionary and the most beloved black revolutionary of the 20th century.
So I would say, I guess I would say Sekou Odinga presente.
So for his family, his wife, all of our mutual comrades, you have our condolences, you have our blessings, you have our love. Rest in power, comrade. We will always remember you.
And always respect you.
Yes, yes.
Remember who Sekou was. Walk in his footsteps. And let us never forget Sekou Odinga. All power to the people.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, where the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, it's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution.
Wait, they told you organizing was dead. that people stopped caring, that community doesn't matter anymore. But if organizing is dead, then who fought for the rights you have today? Who marched? Who taught? Who fed people? Who built movements? For 22 years, the FTP movement has been doing the work, building community, creating leaders, educating people, and turning struggle into action. Now a new generation is rising. Freedom fighters, organizers, movement lawyers, scholars, cultural workers. And from June 26th through June 28th, they're coming together for something bigger than a conference. The Organizing is the New Cool Summit, a multi-generational strategy session for action, liberation, political education, and movement building. Limited audience, exclusive film screening, June 26th through June 28th. Register now, because the future won't organize itself.